Gama Joba from Gracia. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 26th of September, 2024. Quick summary of what's going down in Georgia. Two high-ranking officials from the U.S. government told radio network Voice of America that the U.S. had prepared a package of sanctions against Bidzina Ivanishvili himself, founder of Georgian Dream, Oros Neba, and undisputed ruler and oligarch of Georgia. They asked to remain anonymous. They said that these sanctions are a response to Ivanishvili's close tie with Russian oligarchs and his efforts to make the Georgian market more accessible to those oligarchs. Same source also stated that Ivanishvili is collaborating with Russian intelligence agencies, certainly border guards. Ivanishvili is not the only one facing potential restrictions, according to a statement from a European Commission spokesman given to digital newspaper Politico. There is a possibility that Georgia's visa-free travel to the EU could be suspended. This might happen due to a violation of responsibilities Georgia has undertaken under the visa liberalization scheme, including the protection of fundamental freedoms and the prevention of discrimination. Pavel Herzinski, the EU ambassador to Georgia, echoed this sentiment. He expressed hope that the parliamentary election scheduled for the 26th of October will be peaceful and fair. However, he warned that if the political situation in Georgia becomes more unstable, the EU will lose its leverage, including the suspension of visa-free travel. In more news about Ivanishvili, in our previous show, we reported that he called for an apology to the separatist regions of South Ossetia for the 2008 Russia-Georgia war. This seems to be in line with Otsneba's narrative about conflict being exacerbated by the United National Movement. Ivanishvili implied that the apology would be a first step in the process of Georgia's reunification with Abkhazia and South Ossetia. This did not go unnoticed with the Russian Duma, the lower house of parliament. Konstantin Zatulin, a Russian Duma deputy, said that Abkhazia and South Ossetia will not be returned to Georgia, stating, "That ship has sailed." Russia has recognized the two separatist regions as independent countries, and Zatulin emphasized that there are no intentions to reverse that recognition. The relationship between the U.S. and Georgian government continues to deteriorate. This week, Prime Minister Irakli Kobakhidze attended the 79th session of the UN General Assembly in the United States. He also planned to attend a traditional reception hosted by President Biden for world leaders and senior officials. However, his invitation was canceled. An embassy representative stated that the Biden administration declined to meet with the Georgian delegation, citing anti-democratic actions, disinformation, and negative rhetoric towards the U.S. Last week, Salome Zurabashvili attempted to encourage two opposition parties, Lelo and For Georgia, or Sakartvelostvis, to unite under a single umbrella for the elections. Despite initial positive signs, such as party leaders Khazaradze and Gakharia meeting at the presidential palace and expressing willingness to unify, the negotiations stalled and ultimately failed. On Monday, the 23rd, Zurabashvili held a briefing and acknowledged that her proposal to unite two parties was risky, but she felt compelled to initiate the process nonetheless. She said that a lack of political culture in Georgia, which leads politicians to view compromise as a sign of weakness, and a pervasive atmosphere of mistrust exacerbated by conspiracy theories contributed to the failure of the coalition. Next. Opposition parties continue to grow and add new prominent members. Wednesday, the 25th, Georgi Margvelashvili, fourth president of Georgia, joined the Coalition for Stronger Georgia. This coalition includes several parties. The largest is Lelo. Margvelashvili was elected president in 2013 as a member of the ruling party, or Otsneba. However, his relationship with the party and its leader, Bidzina Ivanishvili, quickly soured, leading to his serving only one term. Interestingly, the candidate Otsneba later supported for the presidency was Salome Zurabashvili, who has since become a prominent critic of the current government. Speaking of the ruling party, Otsneba's new election posters have sparked controversy. The posters feature an image of bombed Ukrainian buildings on one side and famous Georgian landmarks on the other. The text beneath them reads, "No to war, choose peace," suggesting that Otsneba is the only party capable of keeping Georgia out of conflict. Even for Otsneba, which has a history of aggressive and dehumanizing election posters, this seems like a new low. President Zurabashvili expressed her outrage on Facebook, calling the protesters shameful and insulting to Georgia's culture, traditions, and history. The election campaign continues. Outbursts of violence have become increasingly common. On Friday the 20th, Ani Tsiteladze, a National Movement member and MP, reported that she was attacked in Zugdidi. She said that she was attacked when she was distributing election flyers with some other party activists. She added that the attackers were affiliated with Otsneba. The police have launched an investigation under the charge of assault, but no one has been detained so far. More news about the parliamentary elections, as Edison Research has published the results of an election survey conducted from the 1st to the 15th of September. Otsneba remains the largest party with 32% support. National Movements Coalition is the largest opposition party with 20%. Third position is occupied by the Coalition for Change with 11%. Gacharia Sakartvelos ranks fourth with 10%, while fifth place with 9% goes to Coalition Strong Georgia. On Wednesday, the 18th, Georgia was shocked by the news about the murder of celebrity and public figure Kesaria Abramidze. She was a transgender woman who garnered popularity through a decade of TV appearances. She was murdered just a day after Parliament passed anti-LGBTQ plus laws. NGOs and representatives of civil society said this type of violence is a direct result of the stochastic terrorism, homophobic and transphobic narratives driven and implemented by Otsneba. In other news, according to a statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from the 30th of September, Georgian citizens will be able to travel to Hong Kong visa-free. Visa-free travel to China has been available for Georgians since the 28th of May. Still, Hong Kong is a special administrative region, and an additional agreement was necessary. This development marks another step towards closer relations between Georgia and China, as Georgia's relationship with the Western world has become increasingly unstable, and China implements its policy of making Russia, or at least Siberia, its colony. It appears that China is seizing the opportunity to expand its influence in the Caucasus as well. On that note about traveling, British Airways is returning to Georgia. According to United Airports of Georgia, this is the result of a year-long series of discussions that will connect the capitals of Georgia and Great Britain. Direct flights will be available starting from the 30th of May next year. The airline previously operated in Georgia but left the market in 2013. British Airways is too costly for you. There's more good news. Budget airline EasyJet has also decided to enter the Georgian market. This will be the company's first venture into Georgia, marking its easternmost destination to date. EasyJet will begin local operations next April, connecting Tbilisi not only with Britain's Luton Airport, but also with Geneva and Milan. As for our last story, we might have thought that the days when Georgia, the country, and Georgia, the state, were confused with each other were behind us. However, Donald Trump's new campaign ad for this crucial swing state has proven that the struggle isn't over yet. A stock image depicting a mountain view with a flowering rhododendron in the foreground was used in the ad. The location might be unfamiliar to the residents of the southern state, particularly since there are really no mountains in the state of Georgia, but it's quite familiar to the inhabitants of Svaneti, Georgia's mountainous region, where the picture was taken. This photo seems to be quite popular in the U.S. It was also used correctly on the State Department's website dedicated to travel advice for the Republic of Georgia. And that's it for this week. Thanks for sticking around for this episode of the Rorschach Georgia Update. If you've got questions, thoughts, or just want to say hi, send us something at info@rorschach.com. Don't forget to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Nachman bis.